We attribute the success to mankind. For joining us.
You got walls and a roof.
Your guide to bed.
7, 6, 11, 5, 9 and 20 miles a day.
Welcome back, guys and gals, to your favorite podcast, That Would Be Rad, a podcast that majors in 80s and 90s nostalgia, comic culture, all things paranormal, and minors in retro video games, tabletop RPGs, pre-internet mysteries, and raising our kids to be half as cool as we were back in the 80s. I'm your host, Tyler Bentz, and this is your other host,
Woody Brown. What's up, man?
Hey, man. How we doing?
Well,
you okay over there?
yeah, I'm just hoping my voice can just make it through the episode today, man. I'm just a little bit under the weather.
Yeah.
And I hate it. I hate being not 100%.
Yeah, well, you know, I try to
You're
be around,
used to it.
I try to be around 60%.
Yeah, on a good day.
On a good day, yeah.
All right, man. So last week, we went down this rabbit trail of country music, neon lights, and conspiracy. So strange and hilarious even. It made us ask, is one of the biggest entertainers in the world secretly a serial killer?
Which, by the way, dude, and I don't mean to derail you there, but after the episode, I did a further deep dive into just his, just like interview after interview.
Yeah.
Even his like social media videos and stuff. Man.
Just awkward, huh?
I think he's like a robot. Like,
Yeah.
Like it's very strange. Like I don't feel like anything is like real.
Yeah.
Like have you seen the video where he's talking about how he's going to start, what is it? Is he talking about like his Instagram? And he's like, I'm going to post stuff that's like cool and slick.
Yeah, dude.
But I'm also going to post stuff that's real.
Yeah.
It's so
weird.
Everything sounds scripted with this guy.
Yeah. It's so weird, man.
Yeah. Man.
Anyway, if you hadn't listened to last week's episode, please do, because we go into Garth Brooks just basically being a weirdo, for sure. Or I'm sorry, being awkward, for sure. Serial killer, maybe. All right, that was wild enough on its own, for sure, but what if I told you that right now, Tyler, listener, this very second, invisible voices are whispering all around us? Not in the haunted house sense, but literally pulsing through the air. Brushing past our homes, our cars, even the phones in our pockets. You don't see them, you don't hear them. That is, unless you know how to tune in. But they are there. Eerie transmissions repeating endlessly. Numbers rattled off by synthetic voices, children's music box melodies warped and looped, buzzes and tones that never stop. They've been out there for decades, and the truth is, we don't know who's sending them. We don't know who they're meant for. And in some cases, we don't know what they mean. Some call them number stations. Others think of them as Cold War relics, but for most of us, they feel like coded messages bleeding in from another world, equal parts espionage and ghost story. And that makes them the perfect bridge between last week's oddball mystery and the dark path we're about to walk all October long. Because starting next week, it's our annual October Spooktacular, where every single episode is going to be dripping in shadows, legends, and things that go bump in the night. But today, my friend, we are going to turn the dial, lean into the static, and let the weirdest broadcasts in history speak for themselves. All right, so this is a topic that we've wanted to cover for a long time. Many of our listeners have written in, even pretty recently, saying, hey, we can't wait until you do an episode on the number stations. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things that I had never really heard about until we started the show. I think, Tyler, you kind of...
As always.
Yeah, as always, kind of, hey, I think we should do... And I'm like, what? What's a number station?
Yeah.
And so I think, even though it is... I don't know if I want to say mainstream, but it is a relatively well-known thing, right? I mean, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. What's funny about it is it's kind of a... I mean, this is kind of one more for like the boomers and the... like probably our older folks, not old and like old like you, but like older listeners, that it was probably a little more prevalent for those folks because now, with the birth of the internet and stuff, I mean, it is kind of a pre-internet kind of thing.
For sure, yeah.
Like, so I feel like it was more like if you said number stations, in the 90s or even early 2000s, more people would
Sure.
identify.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, I think for our younger listeners, you may have never even heard of these.
Right. And so, real quick, a quick primer before we get into the spooky examples and the weird stuff that's out there. Number stations are basically unregistered radio broadcasts, all right? They show up on shortwave and other bands, usually on a repeatable schedule. Now, to you and me, the normal everyday person that's just kind of like tuning in or like, God, I bet this doesn't even happen that much anymore, but manually tuning your radio, they kind of sound like nonsense. Like buzzing tones, beeps, sometimes synthetic voices reading strings of numbers, sometimes music clips or odd sound effects.
Yeah.
To the person on the other end, perhaps a trained spy, a sleeper agent, it might actually be perfectly meaningful.
Yeah.
So why radio? Well, shortwave radio is cheap. It travels far. And here's the biggest part. It's hard to track the exact source. And it doesn't require a two-way network that could be intercepted. So in other words, you mentioned the internet just a second ago. Well, if you send a message, let's say via text or email or whatever, it's pretty easy nowadays to get pretty close to tracking where that came from, right?
Yeah.
And it also requires you to like physically be the one that sends it. You could be intercepted in the meantime, and then they now have like this, log of messages from you that they can use while they interrogate you or something. But governments have actually used radio to quietly send encrypted messages for decades and decades, man.
Yeah.
Often the encryption is done with a one-time pad, which is, if used right, it's theoretically unbreakable. So it could be gibberish to us, but to someone else, it could be, their lifeline, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a message that, like I said, it could be on a repeatable schedule. And so this, let's just say spy or something. And we'll get a little bit deeper into this as we go into some of these examples. But they could say, hey, Tyler. Hi, Tyler. They could say, hey, Tyler, you go to this country as a spy, and every night at 6 p.m. Eastern, you tune into this frequency, and there's going to be a message there.
Yeah.
So every night at 6 p.m., they're just sending this radio wave transmission to someone else. It's meaningless.
And we're talking, some of these have been going, they date back to, we're talking years and years and years and years.
Oh, yeah. Some of them, like the first one we're going to talk about, I think it was first recorded in 82, but some people believe it's been going since 1970. Arguably, they use these like in potentially like other wars and stuff before that. Anytime there's espionage and spies involved and this kind of old school technology, you better believe they've been using it for a while, especially if we kind of are privy to it now.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing to it is like, so I've heard of some like dating back to like 60s. Some people even think like 50s. And what's weird is like even the ones that are still existing today that some people think could be dated back to then, like you'll still hear, you know, like little bits of like music from like a song that would have been around, you know, pre-50s kind of thing. So it's really interesting. The other interesting thing, just before we really dive in, is in preparing for the episode, I just kind of was just running through some like audio clips, and the interesting thing to me, like as a guitar player, and I have like a giant pedal board, and so yeah, by the way, if you're into like guitar pedals or gear and you want to talk gear, I love to talk about it. Jump in our Instagram. Let's get started. But the one thing that I did notice is on a lot of these, there are some like, I don't know what would you say, like techniques used that are clearly like running an old like Roland Space Echo like delay unit. So basically, if you have like a, in short, and this makes no sense to our non-musicians, but if you have like a delay pedal, you hit a note and it's like clink, 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 and it delays. But if you turn the knob like to speed it up or to slow it down, it'll be and then it goes into what's called self-oscillation, to where it just creates this crazy sort of cacophony of noise. And I've noticed a lot of like little bits of that kind of stuff, and so I don't know how that's happening. I don't know if it's create like sort of I don't know. It sort of falls back on itself, basically, and so it creates like it's like a self oscillation. I wonder if that's some sort of weird natural occurrence with like old school analog, radio. If there's some like method to that, or if it truly is like somebody just trying to create weird noises and turning knobs and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting to me
for sure. All right, so we got to kick it off with maybe one of the most famous ones, and this is UVB 76, also nicknamed the Buzzer. If you're into radio lore at all, this one is basically a celebrity, all right? It was first recorded in 1982, though again, people suspected that it existed in some form since the mid-70s. For years, its signature was this repeating beep. And then in the early 90s, it switched to a nasal, machine-like buzzing drone that repeats about 21 to 34 times per minute on 4625 kilohertz. So, by the way, I feel like I might not have done a good enough job kind of explaining before we dove into this one that these are all stations that, if you had the right equipment, sometimes just a normal radio, sometimes a shortwave radio, sometimes, something a little bit more sophisticated, you can still, for many of these, tune into that frequency, in this case, 4625 kilohertz, and hear what we're talking about.
Right.
So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. So imagine that sound, right? It's this machine-like buzzing drone that repeats. It's about 21 to 34 times per minute, all right? It's like this metallic insect buzzing, a second long each time, and it sometimes shifts in pitch. It's simple and relentless. People call it the buzzer, like I said, because it's almost hypnotic in the worst way. From time to time, that buzzing was interrupted by a clear, almost human voice that would cut through and say numbers or names in Russian. The voice sounds like a code, and then the buzzing returns like nothing happened. Sometimes the whole transmission would just stop for hours and sometimes for days, and then it would come right back. And in 2010, it did something that made a lot of listeners made their heads explode almost. For about 40 seconds, man, it played Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake, just perfectly crystal clear before going back to buzzing.
Yeah, see, that's kind of what I was talking about. That's the interesting thing. It's like, how are they sound so like strange, but then it's able to shift into like almost like high fidelity. So it's,
later people said that they heard like household noises, almost like shuffling and rustling, a faint background, like a mic was on and listening to a room.
Yeah.
Now, a group of explorers eventually traced the signal to a town called Pavarovo and thought that they found the building. They went in and found an abandoned shell. Empty. No transmitter, no people, and...
Wait, how did they track that down, though, I wonder?
Well, I guess maybe they, like, triangulated the potential signal area.
Interesting. Yeah, I know nothing about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's this is what I'm saying. There's, like, all this kind of stuff that exists that we don't know about, and it's so interesting.
Like, I've always thought, like, ham audio was, like, really cool. I mean,
me too. We've talked about getting our ham license.
Yeah.
And just broadcasting this show on ham radio.
Oh, it'd be like just pirate radio. It's awesome. But like once it gets down into like the, for somebody like me who's into like gear and stuff, it is interesting because I know absolutely nothing how all of it actually works. Like when you said like, being able to triangulate locations and stuff, like I get that from like triangulating like towers and stuff with cell phones and that kind of thing. But for this, I don't really understand how any of it works.
Yeah. And I don't know why, but I do remember, maybe it was when I was reading about the Montauk Project or something. I don't know. I went down this rabbit trail about ham radio and how people could potentially track it. And then I ended up on some like, not Survivor, but like what is it called? A prepper forum where people were talking about being able to hide your location. Whenever you use ham radio, you can sort of utilize one of the local towers. I mean, it's just this whole thing. So,
well, that's why like some of the pirate radio stuff, they would do it from like boats, so they would go offshore, and I guess that was a way to hide the location.
But so they found this building. Okay, it's abandoned. It's empty. There's nobody in there. There's no transmitters. There's nothing, and UVB 76 kept droning on. And at some point, the apparent source had moved or something. So on September 7th, 2010, a male voice announces on the radio, the call sign changing to something like Mikhail Dmitry Zinya Boris, MDZHB. And then began introducing new numbers, but people still call it UVB 76. Russia officially denies it exists. So for this one, as far as theories go, there's everything from military emergency channels to basically like a last resort nuke system, a basic number station sending coded instructions to agents. Nobody knows for sure.
Yeah, which also I swear that like we've heard some of these. So the other thing about this is, as a guitar player, we would rehearse and we'd usually start around 5, and then it would get the sun would go down, and so one of the things, and then some nights we would go long, just jamming forever. But one thing that would always happen, and all of our musicians out there, you're going to understand this, is like as it gets later and later and later, you start getting weird signals coming through your amp, and so what happens is you have this layer of the Earth's like upper atmosphere that basically it's just called the ionosphere, and it allows it is lower in the day, and then it sort of goes up at night. And so if you're bouncing off at night, when it raises, you're able to get signal from further areas. So we used to get a ton of like Mexican radio kind of stuff,
and sometimes just weird.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wonder if some of those were number stations, because it would just be like noise, like, and it would just like pinging.
Yeah, it was weird, like coming through our amplifiers.
Yeah,
and it was really cool. And we try to like make it. It was weird though, because now that you mentioned, first off, I totally forgot about that. So that's definitely when we first talked about number stations for sure.
Yep.
And do you remember this, man? It was so weird because it's almost like the second that we acknowledged it and tried to like, move this way to try to, it would just.
It would go away. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
And another quick thing for the nerds out there. So number stations, like I said earlier, kind of rely on this extremely simple, robust trick to communicate, though. They almost utilize this, I guess, this is a part of the reason why it's difficult, if not impossible, to decipher, because the cipher, quote unquote, the cipher that they're using is specific to them, and it's maybe they have this book or sheet of random numbers shared only between the sender and the receiver, and if the key is only used once, then messages basically can't be decrypted by anyone else.
Right.
And that's really where so many people think like it's got to be more than just somebody just found a frequency,
right?
And they're just playing static,
Yeah. And again, like I said before, like some of these have been going for like decades. So it's like, why is that? Is it just like haphazardly the same thing just playing, or is it just a way of like accessing something? Like to us, the layman, we have no idea what's happening. But for somebody who intentionally is like, oh, I need to tune into this particular channel, they know exactly what to listen for.
Right. Is it like purposefully mundane to just sort of like be like, it just seems like nothing. And because of that, you just be like, that's nothing, right?
Right.
It's interesting. And then, yeah. So let's move on to the next one.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality walking shoes, which might lead to another discovery.
40,000 steps, baby. Who's on top now, Karen?
You've taken the office step challenge a step too far. Don't worry, though. Sierra also has yoga gear. It might be a good place to find your zen. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The new Popeyes and Hot Ones menu is the definition of fire flavor. We've got the sizzling sriracha dippers. 10 out of 10. Time to take it up a notch with the smoking Rojo chicken sandwich. That's so hot, but it's so good. Now onto the daring dab ghost wings. Yep, there it is. I love the spice level. Attempt the Popeyes and Hot Ones menu in stores, our hottest collaboration yet. Love that chicken from Popeyes. Limited time in participating U.S. restaurants.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Because at Blinds.com, the only thing we treat better than windows is you. Visit Blinds.com now for up to 40% off select styles, plus a professional measure at no cost. Rules and restrictions apply.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right. And naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about anything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys. Tito's is known for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's. Distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly.
It's a pretty cool place if you're a Martian.
Or a vampire. You think you really know what's happening around here, don't you? We're fighters for truth, justice, and the American way.
Hey, this is Woody.
And this is Tyler. And you're listening to That Would Be Rad.
And now, back to our show. This one's called the Lincolnshire Poacher. So we're going to leave Russia behind and head to the Mediterranean. This is actually one of my favorites so far that I read about because it has this like weird, sinister, like cheeriness to it. Like I said, it's called the Lincolnshire Poacher. Mm-hmm. And just like UVB 76, it has this endless buzzing. But this one has its own almost like audio signature because there's this little melody from an old English folk song. So you're scanning through the frequencies. Picture this, all right? You're scanning through and you land on 5458 kilohertz. And you hear this little tune that's happy and bright, something maybe your grandma or great-grandma might have hummed while she cooked dinner. And then the music cuts out. And this cold, electronically synthesized British female voice chimes in, reading out sets of numbers. It's flat, robotic, and at the end of each sequence, she puts some stress on the last digit. Always the same cadence, over and over.
Now, are the numbers changing? Or is it always like the same numbers?
I think like the actual code itself is, some experts have broken it down to around like 200 different parts and stuff.
Oh, wow.
This reminds me actually, I don't know if anybody out there has recently watched 28 Years Later.
Oh, I haven't seen it. No.
I thought it was cool. There's cool aspects of it for sure. It's a little depressing. But anyway, there's certain sections where I swear they're utilizing some of this type of audio because it'd just be like 1, 7.
Oh, right.
12, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same kind of stuff we used to love to kind of sample into stuff when we were, recording.
Which real quick though, too, I kind of feel like, tell me if you agree, I kind of feel like a lot of these that have like, like you said, there's like an old like folk song kind of melody. I don't want to spoil it, but there's another one that has some like kind of creepy, like sort of musical kind of elements to it. I kind of feel like that stuff is sort of the signal to the person that's going to be tuning in of like, oh yeah, listen for this type of music or melody or whatever. And that's how they know, oh, I'm on the right channel. Instead of it just being noise, it's like, oh, this is the thing with the weird, little kids piano playing. I know I'm on the right channel. And so now I'm listening for like the numbers.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. That's definitely like, I think a popular theory for sure.
Yeah.
So for this one specifically, though, recordings of this go back all the way into the 70s. And for decades, it just ran and ran and ran, sometimes every single day. And people who sort of logged it said that they felt like they were listening to a machine built for one purpose only, to send these messages out without fail day after day. Mm-hmm. Like I said before, the actual code itself is extremely sophisticated. Some experts have broken it down into around 200 different parts, but no one has ever publicly been able to crack it. And the power of this station is extreme. So the Lincolnshire Poacher was loud and clear. You could tune into it from halfway across the world. It wasn't some fuzzy, barely there signal. It blasted across the airwaves like it wanted to be heard, but then only understood, of course, by a select few.
Right.
So most researchers believe it originated from a Royal Air Force base in Cyprus, which kind of makes sense in terms of strategy because Cyprus has been this crossroads of intelligence work for, I mean, decades. It's close to the Middle East. It's within range of Russia. And, of course, right in the thick of it for the Cold War spy games. Mm-hmm. The leading theory is that the poacher was run by MI6, British intelligence, for those of you who haven't ever seen Austin Powers.
James Bond.
Well, what does it all mean, Basil? Can you imagine Austin Powers running in on one of these things? There's no way he could figure it out. All right.
Which, by the way, tell me if you agree with this. I don't know if this is like even like a phobia or something. I feel like I have looked this up before, and I never could find anything.
Fembots?
Yeah, I have a phobia of fembots. No. The idea of like an abandoned room for years and years and years, maybe with like a radio playing or something like this, where it's like just this abandoned room that's generating a radio signal that nobody has even been in the room for years. Like something about that is so like scary to me.
Yeah. Imagine just kind of like walking up and I pictured this room that's just like the windows are broken. There's like plant growth kind of trying to come into the room, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's just this single, small, thin wooden desk in the corner.
Yeah.
A metal sort of those old foldable chairs sitting there. And then like one little, that little like desk microphone with like the button, almost like an intercom. And that thing is just like somehow rigged to where it just says on, and then there's like a little record player there.
Yeah, dude. That's
dude. Wild. And then like a radio transmitter.
Yeah, something about that is just so creepy to me. Yeah, that's weird.
Man, that's it. I hope there's some other than our friends in Soza Bear, I hope there's some other filmmakers out there that are just listening to our show going, you know what? And then we're, of course, we'll take the first 10% off the front and back. Okay.
Yeah, it'd like even the title could just be Johnny Appleseed and his number station.
Yes.
Oh,
man, that's actually...
it's
here we
gold.
go again,
Gold.
So in 2008, after decades of this, again, just being consistent, man, I mean, just every single day, boom, 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 the frequency stopped. There was no warning, no fading, no replacement melody, just dead silence on that station. For radio hobbyists who spent years logging this, it was like a friend dying suddenly, some of them said.
Yeah.
It was there one day, the next day, gone. Which brings me to another thing. It's like there are, and we'll get to that a little bit later too, there are people that are just completely dedicated to this.
Oh,
when I say logging it, I mean they're tuning into these stations, seeing if there's anything different, logging that it's still playing, and moving on. This is like their hobby.
Which I mean, here's the drinking game. Go ahead and take a sip. The Toynbee Tiles, which we will do eventually because it is maybe my all-time favorite pre-internet.
Maybe like November or something.
Dude,
after the Spooktacular.
I would love it. Yeah, it's awesome. But there's like a documentary about it, and in the documentary they're trying to track down, because it involves, we know it involves ham radio operation. And so the filmmaker goes to a convention, and it's like, it's cool. It's just like a bunch of like old boomers, talking about like their favorite, like, stations. And I'm sure like number stations are, a huge sort of niche in that community. But yeah, I mean, it's, in all the weird stuff that we like, that we rattle off on the intro, number stations and ham radio operators, like there's a whole massive community it's really cool.
Yeah. And dedicated to like knowing about it, learning. It's really awesome. So again, this thing just disappeared.
Wow.
Did the UK simply just retire it, deciding it was time to switch to newer tech, or did they change frequency and disguise it under a different station?
I feel like it's probably like just intercepted.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel that way? Probably.
Yeah, maybe. I think a lot of the enthusiasts sort of like to believe that it's still out there somewhere, hiding somewhere in the static, just on another station.
Interesting.
But it's interesting too, because it's like you've used this for so long, it becomes relevant and I guess known enough where people like Tyler and I are talking about it. You feel like at some point you might just be like, well, let's just move it to a different I don't know. It's just there's so many different things about this that's just weird.
Yeah,
but it also sort of speaks to how effective, if this is being used as a communication device,
right?
How effective it is at staying unbreakable.
Well, that, and I mean, just like what I was saying in the beginning about how like our newer, younger listeners probably have no idea what we were talking about, when we started talking about it. But our older listeners, it's more prevalent. So, I mean, honestly, as we sort of move forward into like, technology and like, bigger, better, stronger, faster, it is kind of awesome that it's like this remnant of the past that's still usable for, spies or, whatever. Like, it's kind of cool in that way that the more we go into modernity, the less people even know about it. So it kind of goes, no pun intended, but it goes more under the radar.
Yeah, well, nice. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I like that idea of it becoming less common, and because of that, there's less knowledge about it. It's harder for the next generation, we'll say, like people our kids' age, to figure that stuff out. Now, luckily, if they have parents like us who are trying to raise them to be cooler than we were back in the 80s, then they are pretty familiar with some of this stuff. But imagine just handing a tape cassette to, a 6-year-old right now whose parents don't have a, Walkman lying around.
Right.
They're going to be like, what do I do with this?
Dude, I showed my oldest, I mean, she's 10 now, but probably like 2 years ago, I busted out my old Walkman, and I specifically didn't tell her like what it was or anything, and I just handed it to her, and she had no idea.
See, that just proves my point, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So imagine just hiding coded messages on cassette tapes.
Oh, yeah.
Because then now you have to have the technology to be able to play it. You have to even know how to do it. I mean, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, moving on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
This one, it's kind of, there's not that much to say about it other than it gets its name because people people think it sounds like a whale song or music playing backwards. And they call it the backwards music station or whale song.
See, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, a lot of these have this like affected like element to them to where it feels like there has to be, like I was saying,
there's purpose behind it.
Well, yeah, it's like somebody's intentionally making it sound weird or like it's one thing for a number station, in Cold War Russia or whatever, or Soviet Union, where it's it's just like bad quality and it's coming through like a record player and so it's creating all those weird sort of artifacts and stuff. But like stuff like this where it's playing in reverse and stuff like that, it feels like it's intentionally being done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, which leads me to wonder, like, okay, how are they doing that?
Right. And how long ago did they set it up?
Right.
Yeah. And especially since it's just continuous and it's been happening for so long. But this one specifically is apparently particularly strong in England and in Florida, which led some listeners to wonder if it was broadcasting from multiple sites or using long-range tech.
Whoa.
Governments have denied it. Its purpose is completely unknown. There's nothing even really decipherable about it other than it's creepy and persistent.
And so you're saying in England and...
In Florida, it comes in the best.
That's the strongest, yeah. Okay.
Which is weird.
Wow, that is weird.
This next one's kind of hilarious, actually, mainly because it's just, I don't know, equal parts ridiculous and amazing. All right. This one is called the Yosemite Sam transmissions. Okay. They first picked up in December of 2003 near the Laguna Indian Reservation outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico. It starts with this creepy buzzing, and then exactly 7 seconds after the hour, it plays a clip from a 1950s Looney Tunes cartoon, and it has Yosemite Sam shouting, "Varmint, I'm gonna blow you to smithereens." And then it hops frequencies 3,700 kilohertz to 4,300 kilohertz to 6,500 kilohertz to 10,500 kilohertz, moving upward.
How does that happen?
And then it repeats the whole cycle for about 2 minutes.
And then just goes back to
3,700, boom, boom, boom. Okay. It hasn't been heard since 2004. People think it was transmitting encrypted data bursts, but what for? I mean, I have no idea. And whoever it was aimed at probably understood what those bursts meant.
Right.
But I will say this. Albuquerque, New Mexico. There are some nearby military bases like Kirtland Air Force Base and Sandia National Labs.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people think it was maybe testing data bursts for secret comms or even weapons testing.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I'm so ignorant when it comes to this. But how do you automatically like jump frequencies?
Yeah, I mean, other than somebody manually, doing it, or since it was 2003, maybe at that point there was some way to sort of like program it to change those frequencies for you.
Yeah, because you're basically just, I mean, as you're going through the radio dial, you're just raising or lowering your frequency to sort of pick up on that, whatever you're trying to find. So yeah, I'm sure there is some sort of tech that can do that. We're probably talking about tech that's been around since the 70s, and to us, we're like, oh yeah, it's real modern.
All right, now this one's called the Swedish Rhapsody Station. Mm-hmm. Though oddly, it didn't even come from Sweden. Most people agree it originated in Poland, and just like Tyler was talking about at the top of the show, its broadcasts started way back in the 1960s. Now, why Swedish Rhapsody? Well, because the transmission kicks off with a tune everyone thought was Hugo Alvin's Swedish Rhapsody #1. Mm-hmm. But here's the twist. Musicologists later figured out that it wasn't Rhapsody at all, and it was a passage from the Luxembourg Polka by Emil Riesdorf. I'm sorry for that last name, sir.
Sorry, sir.
But same bars, same melody, but the broadcast itself played on what sounded like a music box.
Yeah.
This is kind of like just what we were talking about, man. Setting the scene where there's this like music box.
Yeah, it's
and there's a microphone in the room, and it's delivering this. And let me tell you, when you hear that fragile sort of music box sound over crackly shortwave static, it feels less like it's like it's playing a happy little polka song. But it seems just like I think they utilize this technique a lot in like trailers and horror movies and stuff. It's like it turns a nursery rhyme basically into, terrorizing.
Which honestly, I mean, I think our first example of that was like the Freddy song.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That
two Freddy's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that like, kiddie kind of, or it's like, I mean, especially in like the late 90s, early 2000s, all the trailers would have like a little kid's piano, like a Fisher-Price piano playing.
Or like, I mean, a demonic Jack in the Box kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Ding,
ding, ding, ding, ding, as you turn the lever thing. Yeah.
Actually, I feel like I just watched something that had some sort of like, somebody had like a music box, and the people were like, no, don't. It's some scary movie that I just watched.
Yeah, I think it's like a modern movie. I just saw it on like Shudder, I feel like.
Yeah,
because it's on the cover, right? It's like a Jack
I don't have Shudder, man.
Well,
so yeah, I don't know what it was, man.
I feel like I just saw something, so I know what you're talking about.
I don't want to spend too much time on me trying to figure out movies. Lord knows. It's all
so
anyway,
come back
there was the Skinless Man.
This guy with the Skinless Man.
Yeah. So,
which, by the way, go ahead and tell him.
Oh, what was the name of the movie, dude? I don't know. I thought it was it.
You sent it to me. Hold on. What is it? Yeah, we thought we had it. Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis. Yeah. I thought that was the movie. It had a lot of sort of bullet points where it seemed like it was going to be, and then no. Let's move on though, because
we'll return after these messages.
Yo, this is important, man. My favorite Lululemon shorts, the ones you got me back in the day, I think they're called Pace Breakers, the ones with all the pockets. I just got back from vacation, and I left them in my hotel room. And dude, I need to replace these shorts. I wear them like 3 times a week. Could you send me the link to where you got them? Oh, also, my birthday's coming up soon, so... Anyways, thanks, bro. Talk soon.
Looking for your newest go-tos? Lululemon What's New Gear drops on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday. Head to Lululemon.com to shop What's New Gear.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Hey, this is Woody.
And this is Tyler. And you're listening to That Would Be Rad.
And now, back to our show. Really, the thing about this station, the Swedish Rhapsody, was that after the music stopped is when things kind of really get unsettling, because a voice would cut in. High-pitched, flat, mechanical. It sounded like a little girl reading out strings of numbers. In reality, it was probably a synthesized female voice, but if you don't know that, you'd swear it was a child. It's eerily detached, reciting these codes.
You mean it's like pitched up so much that it sounds like...
Well, I mean, yeah, like if you didn't... It's kind of like when I did the voice for when we did Sam the Sandown Clown.
Right. Yeah.
You just sounds just like a little girl, but I pitched it up.
Yeah.
But more than that, because if you just pitch my voice real fast, then it's not Alvin and the Chipmunks, okay? There's more to it. All right.
Yeah.
In other words, you're not just speeding it up to increase the pitch. We're not going to get into the technical aspects of that. But the format in this station was strict, okay? This little girl voice would read 3 sets of 5-digit numbers.
Okay.
Each repeated 3 times. Then came 3 longer messages. The first 2 were 100 groups of 5 digits, and the last was 50 groups. And in between those, she'd say the German word Achtung, meaning
it's kind of like Achtung,
attention.
Baby. Yeah.
Like
the U2 record.
So, I mean, already my head was swimming thinking about that. I'm like, 3 sets of 5, 102, you know what I mean? No wonder it's hard to decipher. But the whole broadcast itself lasted about 38 minutes of this ghostly child voice reciting these numbers.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, this stuff is. I mean, the other thing is like, this isn't meant for us. So, like, to your average list, like, this is specifically for whoever, like, you know,
it's specifically for whoever it's for,
the code or whatever. Yeah.
And to everybody else, that's the thing that's so crazy about this mystery is that these stations exist, and to anybody just tuning in, it just sounds like gibberish.
Right.
So, like, sometimes there were variations in the numbers in this station, for example, where they replaced the long codes with a simple repetition of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, for 5 minutes straight. Other times it appeared in English, same robotic voice, but reading in a different language. In 1988, and just as a reminder, this started in the 60s, so, 28 years later, the schedule shifted dramatically, and there were several new variants that emerged. By 1998, the station went completely silent.
Wow.
Now, here's where it gets a little wilder, because some theories suggest that these broadcasts were tied to Cold War era CIA operations, sending encrypted information to Polish operatives. Others say it was Polish intelligence alone communicating internally or to agents that they had abroad. Either way, imagine you're a spy in the field, tuning into your shortwave receiver, and this eerie childlike voice is your lifeline to headquarters.
Right.
I quit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're having to listen to it over and over and over and over.
One thing that makes me really, really jealous, though, talking about these is, and jealous in a good way, because imagine being the radio hobbyist that first discovers these things. Like, you're just tuning in and all of a sudden you hear this like 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Bizarre, man.
What's funny is I've had a few of those moments years and years ago whenever I first got into, like, it would have been, I guess middle school, staying up to listen to, like, the Bulldog in Athens. Were you here? Would you have been here by then?
Late, like in the 90s.
There was like a station called the Bulldog in Athens that played, like, it's the first, I remember hearing like Marvelous 3 for the first time, Trinket, like all those kind of bands, Pylon, those sort of indie college bands. But yeah, I remember during that time, a lot of these stations would sort of go, now it's all digital and it just plays the playlist. But back then, like, It was kind of like in the old days, like TV. It would go to that like Indian in the middle of that like symbol. You know, when the station kind of goes dead, basically. It would do that with like radio too, and sometimes it would have like weird noises, and it would just be like a countdown kind of thing, or like, I'm sure it's some sort of like, I don't know, some sort of protocol that they have to do, like, a bigger station would have to do.
More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants, including the $155 Walmart Plus monthly membership credit and $240 flexible business credit. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
Change is always happening. But no matter what changes in 5 years, there's one thing that will stay the same. The price of your internet. With the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi. With our best equipment included, for a price that stays exactly the same. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
Doug. Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu, is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Tonight, turn down the noise of the day and focus on the rest with AGZ, the nightly drink for winding down and resting up. New from AG1. AGZ supports your body's natural sleep cycle with clinically studied key herbs, adaptogens, and minerals in amounts supported by research. And no melatonin, helping you wake feeling rested. Wind down, rest up with AGZ. Learn more at drinkagz.com.
But I do remember waking up a few times, and it was just like weird beeps and like numbers and stuff. And it's like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. But yeah, there is something strange about it, because especially if you're alone, you feel like you're being privy to something that you're not supposed to be hearing or something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Especially whenever it's like you've got that weird eerie music box.
Oh yeah,
vibe, and then in our generation, music that old, and I don't know if this is just because of pop culture turning it into scary, you know what I mean? But
I'm sure, yeah.
It seems like it would just be like, what in the world? And then like a little girl's voice is on the other end saying numbers in a different language. I mean, that's just, I don't know. I mean, even though this station specifically has been quiet for over 2 decades, there's still recordings that circulate. Musicians sample it, sound designers like myself use it, and here's what's cool. Paranormal folks swear that it carries an almost cursed energy. And that's a whole nother level of thinking about these things altogether. The next one is over in the Middle East. There was a station that began with a Jean-Michel Jarre piece. I'm sure I mispronounced that, but it's Overture. Whoa, what was that?
Did you hear my stomach?
You got a crocodile over there, man?
Dude, my stomach just made the craziest noise.
Anyway, this station started with an overture, then this Arabic voice saying 44D twice. Then he said some numbers, and then he said again, then more numbers, and the piece of song played again. It was this weak AM radio signal, grainy, with this erratic schedule, which is unusual because most of these stations, again, are very precise. They follow a schedule, and, you know, it's pretty easy to just kind of tune in and you know what to expect. But people actually call this one the Magnetic Fields Station. It's currently inactive, but some theories point to Algerian intelligence using it to reach operatives. And, you know, as always, the why is sort of the guesswork here. A more modern one was actually kind of reactivated not too long ago in 2016, and that comes from North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
In 2016, a station that had been dormant since around 2000 came back on the air. Again, this points to the fact that people are discovering this because this is what they do. This is their hobby.
Right.
We play Dungeons and Dragons, and they just scroll through the radio.
Yeah. So also, the Magnetic Fields are a 90s indie band for those musicologists out there.
So cool.
Mm-hmm.
The broadcast itself starts with a female voice saying something that sounds almost like a lesson. It's like the translation would be like, from now on, I will give review work for the subject of mathematics under the curriculum of a remote education university for exploration agents of the 27th Bureau. Then, and I'll get to, you already know what I think that is.
Mm-hmm.
Then the voice lists pages and question numbers on page 459, question number 35, page 913, number 55, and so on. And this repeats for about 12 minutes. I mean, whenever I hear the 27th Exploration Agents of the 27th Bureau.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys. You've been listening to the show more than like a handful of episodes. You know what I'm going to say. Is this
Here we go.
a technology that is useful and can be used quite easily without other high-tech stuff being around? These are time travelers.
Yeah.
You know?
Which, again, I mean, to our point earlier, talking about how it's this sort of long-lost technology that is still perfectly usable. So, like, if you were from the future, you know, I mean, man, this is actually a great point, is the idea that, like, you know, you were talking about how, or I was talking about, you know, I showed my daughter, like, a Walkman, and she had no idea what it was, didn't know how to operate it. But, like, and so if a time traveler came back, maybe he wouldn't be able to even operate, like, a computer, because that would be obsolete, you know, in his era. And so, like, this is like sort of a thing that's utilizing like radio waves that are never going to go away. And that would be like the perfect mechanism, whether you are far in the future or in the past.
Right. I mean, just imagine this. The joke that we've used before is like, imagine going back to 1920 with an iPhone and being like, hey, man, do you have a charger?
Yeah,
Can I plug this in? I mean, like, it only helps you sort of like even in Back to the Future, he goes back and he doesn't have the correct kind of fuel, so he has to do this whole thing just to get it when he goes back into the, you know, the old West.
The West, yeah.
For radio and stuff, relatively speaking, now you'd have to have some knowledge base and you'd have to have the know-how. You could create a radio tower. You could create a transmitter, potentially. You know, you could collect items that existed across the span of a large amount of time.
Yeah, right.
You know, and so it makes it the perfect communication tool if you're just dropping in and out at different times. Just saying.
I mean, makes sense to me. Which, by the way, before we move on from the time travel, have you heard about this new theory that some people are saying that they believe that, like, we created the lottery to catch time travelers?
No, I haven't heard that.
I mean, it's you know, it's kind of a strange concept, but then it's like, then you start thinking about it, it's like, actually, that kind of makes sense. Like,
let's dive into that on the Patreon.
Yeah.
Because that sounds really, you know, I love anything time travel.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so most of the number stations we've talked about so far kind of live in this shadowy twilight world of rumor and speculation, but this one made it all the way into the U.S. federal courtroom. It's the only case where we've got proof beyond a doubt that a number station was being used to send spy communications. Wow. And the only proof where a government actually admitted to it. It's called the Atención broadcast. And like its name suggests, it always began with a woman's voice, calm and measured, saying, Atención, Atención. Then she'd launch into strings of numbers in Spanish.
Atención, 5, 4, 8, 7, 1, 3, 6, 3, 6,
read over and over in this flat, almost hypnotic monotone. Sometimes music from Radio Havana would pop up in between transmissions, but the format stayed consistent with the Atención, Atención, followed by rows of numbers and then silence. Now, the broadcasts have been around for years, but in the mid-90s, U.S. intelligence began to suspect something bigger. And by 95, the FBI had evidence that a group of Cuban operatives in Miami were listening to Atención and literally writing down the numbers by hand. Later, they used laptop computers with decryption software to translate the messages. So in 1998, after years of surveillance, 5 men were arrested, and they became known as the Cuban Five. The charges were pretty heavy, okay? Conspiracy to commit espionage, acting as agents of a foreign government, even conspiracy to commit murder. Here's the wild part. The FBI had actually decoded some of the numbers. They presented these decrypted messages in court, and this is where it gets both fascinating and strange, man, because one message reads, "Prioritize and continue to strengthen friendship with Joe and Dennis." Dennis Benz. Another one says, "Under no circumstances should agents German nor Castor fly with BTTR or another organization on days 24, 25, 26, and 27. And then one more says, "Congratulate all the female comrades for International Day of the Woman." I don't know what that, but wouldn't it have been weird if I was like, "And fly with TWBR"?
I mean, that would be amazing.
On the surface, these decoded messages seem kind of mundane, right? Even silly. But just like most codes, let's talk about the context. These were part of a much bigger intelligence network. That BTTR reference, for example, stood for Brothers to the Rescue, which was this Miami-based exile group that flew planes near Cuban airspace. And the "don't fly with them" was almost certainly linked to avoiding a deadly confrontation. The evidence was so strong that all 5 of these men were convicted. And in 2001, Cuba itself finally admitted that, yes, these were our spies.
Oh, wow.
They had been sent to infiltrate anti-Castro exile groups in the U.S.
So are you saying this is the first time that, like...
It's the first and only time, dude.
That a government has, like, admitted
to it.
Wow.
It's a station that was being used for the exact purpose that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, right?
Wow. That's pretty amazing. Because it's basically, you know, I mean, just like with all things that us and we get into with like conspiracies and stuff is the, you know, it's like, oh, that's crazy. That's conspiracy. So I'm sure in that community for years, people were like, no, this is for spies. Like this is a thing. And I like that they finally came out and admitted it. That's cool.
And I mean, mainly because going back to the nerdy encryption details, normally the number stations, again, are believed to use what's called a one-time pad, this randomized code that's mathematically unbreakable if used properly. But the only way the FBI could decode Atención is if either the Cubans messed up in their process or the Bureau somehow got its hands on the pad or the software. Either way, it was a rare crack in the armor here. And like you said, it's like, it's rare that we see that kind of stuff come to fruition to where it's like, all right, yes, we've figured out one of them, you know?
Isn't it a chink in the armor?
What did I say?
A crack in the armor.
Well, you know, either way, it's a rare sort of chink in the armor. Man, that just sounds...
Hold on, I gotta check this out, because if this is chink in the armor.
I just pictured it I just pictured it being like a crack, you know, like boom, it cracks the armor.
No, that's right. Chink in the armor. That's right.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we got to trace that back to its origin and figure out if it's a
chink would be a small, potentially fatal flaw in this
here we
protective layer.
Oh, man. Yeah. Either way, it was a rare chink in the armor of what's usually thought of as the most secure system ever invented. I mean, like we've said time and time again in this episode, there's no other reason other than them just abandoning these stations because something happened and they just keep on playing. There's no reason for them to use this technology other than it's working.
But there's also no reason to take it away even if you're not using it. Because again, like, I mean, going back to my like fear of just a lone radio in a room by itself, it's like, it's not really hurting anybody.
No, but it's drawing like electricity and it's got, you know, somebody's got to go check on it. You got to hire some dude or dudette that goes out there and checks and makes sure. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess
maybe
you could
not.
just leave it be, yeah.
Yeah.
We will return after these messages.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English Teacher. All new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
Welcome to Only Murders in the Building,
the official podcast.
Join me, Michael Cyril Creighton, as we go behind the scenes with some of the amazing actors, writers, and crew from season 5.
The audience should never stop suspecting anything.
How can you not be funny crawling around on a coffin? No, that's true.
Catch Only Murders in the Building official podcast, now streaming wherever you get your podcasts. And watch Only Murders in the Building, streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply.
Lowe's knows how to help make your home holiday ready for less. Get Select Style Selections vinyl flooring for just $1.99 per square foot and have it installed before the festivities begin. Our team can help you every step of the way. See a Lowe's Red Vest associate or visit Lowe's.com/holiday install to get started. Lowe's, we help, you save. Basic install only. Date restrictions apply. Subject to availability. Installed by independent contractors. See associate for details. Contiguous U.S. only.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac extra value meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
America's future can be determined by our dreams and our visions.
It was very intense, bright light.
For over 200 years, there have been reports of giant man-like creatures
from another dimension, another world, I don't know.
The most intriguing mystery on the North American continent.
This is Joshua Cutchin, and you're at my home for weirdness. That would be rad.
Now, let's step away from Cold War radar towers and into urban legend territory.
Now we're talking.
This one's known as Old Tape.
Real quick.
Shush.
No. Is this in Seattle?
Nope.
Okay.
That's why when I say shush, I mean shush. Shush. Hush, please. All right. The story goes that in 1995, listeners of WKCR 89.9 FM in New York suddenly had their programming hijacked. For a short time, the station wasn't playing jazz or news. It was playing something else, something deeply unsettling. A recording of that broadcast eventually surfaced online, uploaded by 4chan users years later. Whether it's a genuine hijack or some elaborate hoax, the audio itself is enough to give you chills. It starts off with a few bars of odd, unidentifiable music. Then, this sudden, shrill, grating noise, like heavy, rasping breathing put through a distortion pedal. After that, a garbled female voice comes in, chanting what sounds like names and dates. Behind her, you hear this faint chiming of bells or wind chimes ringing eerily. Now, people who claim to have heard it live said it made them feel physically ill, like dizzy and nauseous and disoriented. Even just listening to the recording online has creeped people out so badly that they had to turn it off. And the kicker, as far as anyone knows, Old Tape was only ever broadcast once. It came, it freaked people out, and then it was gone. So what was it? A pirate radio hijack? A rogue signal from some number station experiment? An alien transmission? A college prank? or maybe the guy that did the Max Headroom.
Oh, yeah,
thing.
yeah. That's the first thing I thought of. That's actually where I thought you were going to go, yeah.
And some people even think, like, was it a haunted recording? Or is it just the internet trying to create, like, an audio creepypasta?
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like, it does kind of sound like it's trying to replicate the weirdness of, like, number stations, but I don't know. I mean, there's something about, like, packing in all that stuff to sound, like, creepy that feels like maybe it's sort of a copycat kind of thing. To this topic, again, I talked about, like, the Toynbee tiles. They would do the same thing, and they whoever this person or people were that were creating the Toynbee tiles, and again, we'll do this eventually, but there was a period to where they believed that same guy had a massive, like, antenna on his car, and so he would drive around, and because it had so much power with the antenna that he was broadcasting, and so as he would go by, it would take over your TV or, like, your radio, and then you would hear whatever he was messaging, and he kept repeating this thing that would say Toynbee idea in movie 2001 Resurrect Dead on Planet Jupiter, which is, I mean, totally strange. But, like, yeah, it's that same idea of, like, just you're driving around, like, hijacking people's broadcast or whatever. It's really cool, though. The idea, that's awesome.
Here's a little clip of what we're talking about for this old tape signal.
Scott, Mark, and Lisa Ann's friend, my friend. February 1985, Frank Oppenheimer, brother Robert, husband of Jackie Emily, father Michael, our friend. May 1987, Henrietta Graham, mother Lion, in-law Sally, my friend. March 17, 1988, Edward McGillis, brother of William, Jim, May, and Peggy, father of Shirley, Albie, and Justine.
All right, let's move on to the next one here. Okay, up to this point, we've been talking spies and Cold War codes again, but just like this last one, this one kind of blurs the line between espionage and the paranormal. It's one of those stories that makes shortwave enthusiasts kind of stop and say, wait a second now, this isn't just weird, this is straight up haunted. I'm talking about the RAF Montrose Air Station in Scotland. One of the most, said to be, one of the most haunted places in Great Britain.
Wow.
So picture this. You're at the Montrose Heritage Center, walking past a display of old equipment. Sitting there behind glass is this dusty 70-year-old pi valve wireless radio, kind of like just what we talked about in the beginning.
Yep.
It's unplugged, though. Its parts corroded. It's missing vital components, but by all accounts, it shouldn't work at all. And yet, every so often, it springs to life.
No way.
Yeah. Witnesses have reported hearing full-on World War II era broadcasts coming through it, man, with Winston Churchill speeches, sometimes Glenn Miller swing music, wartime news bulletins, playing crystal clear, sometimes for up to 30 minutes at a time, man.
Dude, that is amazing.
And then so it's like playing, and then all of a sudden, poof, silence.
Wow. Yeah, because I guess it would have to be like transistor, like tube technology, probably, like our amplifiers.
Yeah. So technicians examined it, and they said flat out that it shouldn't be able to function. One even kind of quipped that it would probably explode if it were actually switched on. It was never switched on. It wasn't connected to power. It was just dead hardware.
Man.
It's not just like one witness, or you know what I mean? Or somebody that worked there on a Tuesday. Multiple reliable witnesses, staff, volunteers, visitors have all heard and reported these phantom broadcasts. Sometimes full speeches, man, sometimes old music, always from this same lifeless radio.
You know what it kind of makes me think of is the idea of, for our longtime listeners, it's pretty much every show we bring this up, but it's the idea of like people or entities sort of being able to cross over into other dimensions or, multiverse kind of theory stuff. I do kind of think the idea of, well, maybe these sort of inanimate objects are also able to do the same.
Right. Or maybe maybe those radio signals aren't bound by the same set of rules.
Yeah, right. Like maybe it's just kind of picking up the attributes of it when it worked in another dimension or another time, or you know what I mean?
I mean, Montrose itself already kind of had a reputation. People have reported disembodied voices, phantom footsteps, spectral RAF pilots, Royal Air Force, by the way, is what that stands for, in full uniform wandering the halls.
Wow.
Even the sound of invisible aircraft engines revving in the distance.
Dude. Did we just talk about this last episode? That
we
idea.
talked about Garth Brooks. Okay.
Well, maybe the episode before, where you remember I brought up the Foxfire books, and
I think that might have been several episodes ago, but yes,
like the wagon, the sound of a wagon coming through. Yeah, dude,
same kind of deal.
I think there could be something to that. Yeah, that's interesting.
And what it also reminds me of, you remember we talked about, I think, well, it was either during the spooky season at some point, but we talked about like the phantom radio signals where the guy would bring his radio and then play. You know what I mean? Remember that? People would speak through the radio. Remember? We talked about that, and they were like, is it plugged in? Is it not plugged in?
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. It reminds me of the, I never have ever gotten this right, but the Italian priest.
Yeah, that's the one. That's what I think I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought that was like another guy, but he was able to like
communicate or something, right?
Yeah, I think that story was like, it was a lot had to do with him doing it. Like I think he had some sort of ability to be able to, coax it out of his radio.
Yeah. So the secretary of the Heritage Center here, his name was Peter Davis, admitted that he said it is most odd and we cannot understand it. The station has a very abnormal presence. Several paranormal groups have been in to investigate various things, but the wireless radio has everyone, including our radio technicians, stumped. Now, skeptics, of course, will argue maybe it's some sort of freak phenomenon, like old valves acting as accidental antennas or picking up stray signals in the air, but it just doesn't explain why it only plays period-appropriate content.
Right.
Or why it happens so rarely and randomly. Because, I don't know how long it's been or if anybody out there ever has, but I remember when I was a kid, I used to love to take apart like the boombox or whatever. Anything that had like, hey, I need a Phillips head screwdriver for this. We just take stuff apart.
Oh,
there's always stuff within there, transistors, things that can sort of hold electric charge.
Yeah.
And there'll just be this big stamped metal thing that says "Do not touch." Yeah. And that would always freak me out enough to be like, well, let's just put it back on.
Yeah, dude. VCRs
have them.
Well, but especially in like I talked about like tube amps and like guitar amps. Like they have like a transformer, and like it can still fully hold a charge even when unplugged. So it's
in this case, I could see where maybe the radio held the charge, but like over and over for so long, almost not like 80 years ago.
Well, but also like what you said, picking up like period-specific radio broadcasts. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, man. It's just awesome. And like, I wish I would have known about this when Anne went to Scotland all those years ago.
Oh, yeah, big time.
So whether you chalk it up to physics or phantoms, whatever, the haunted wireless of Montrose is one of those cases that sort of bridges that gap, man, between the shortwave mystery and good old-fashioned ghost story.
By the way, the Italian inventor Marconi is he's the one who had the idea to be able to communicate with the dead, basically.
Which brings up, like, do ghosts have their own frequency?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that. Yeah, I mean, we're all like vibratory beings, so even after you're dead, like, it's the first law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Like that energy doesn't just like go away, and so is it still sort of vibrating at that specific frequency? Yeah,
it's wild.
Yeah, it's interesting.
All right, this last one. From 1976 until 1989, there was a sound on the airwaves that just about every ham operator and pilot in the world learned to hate. They called it the Russian woodpecker. And once you hear it, you'll understand why. It was this relentless machine gun tapping, so strong that it bled into commercial radio stations, TV broadcasts, even aviation communications.
Wow.
You could be listening to your favorite station and suddenly tap, 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 drilling into your brain like some Cold War Morse code. And nobody knew what it was, man. Speculation kind of went wild. Some said it was a new kind of number station. Others thought it was a doomsday countdown, a clock maybe ticking toward a nuclear war. Fringe theories claimed it was Soviet mind control designed to brainwash populations through low-frequency resonance. Others swore it was a weather control device. And of course, there were the UFO crowd. Maybe the Soviets were trying to phone E.T. In reality, the truth is almost stranger than fiction, because eventually it was revealed that the woodpecker was the signal from a massive over-the-horizon radar system called Duga 3. It was built near Chernobyl. It was designed to detect incoming nuclear missiles from thousands of miles away. Think of it like an early warning net bouncing radio waves off the ionosphere to see across the curve of the Earth. This thing was like huge, man, like a cathedral of steel huge. This lattice of towers stretching nearly half a mile, bristling with antennas. And today, the ruins still stand near Chernobyl like the skeleton of some alien machine-looking thing, man.
Wow.
And so, but during the Cold War, nobody outside the USSR knew what it was. And so the woodpecker conspiracy theories just went wild.
Yeah.
What I love about that one is that it shows the power of mystery, kind of like we talked about last week. And sort of like once you, in this specific case and topic, once you hear this weird sound without any explanation, your imagination fills in the blanks. And it's just, it's got to be creepy.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I mean, also there are a lot of them that would utilize like Morse code and other sort of like, others like Morse code. There's other like sort of tapping kind of codes. Yeah, that stuff's really, it's so interesting, man.
Yeah,
like it's especially because it is of such a bygone era that's still usable.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, it makes it super interesting.
I mean, for sure. I mean, we talked about that before, where it's like this seemingly archaic mode of communication, especially now in the internet age. And when we're talking about a time, it's 2025 right now. It's almost October 2025.
Yeah.
And, we've got artificial intelligence that just gets better every day. We've got the internet where we can communicate, almost immediately with anyone around the world. And we're talking about this shortwave radio, right? Why would somebody still use that? Well, we've kind of laid that out already. First, I mean, the reach, right? It's, it can pick up signals across entire continents. the simplicity and deniability of it, it's easy. A one-way broadcast is like shouting a message into the dark. If you don't have the code, it's meaningless.
Yeah, right.
And then, again, the survivability of it. In a war or a blackout, shortwave signals can still get through.
Yeah.
You know, we think about it a lot in terms of, you know, if there's a communication disruption. I mean, I think this past week, you know, they uncovered some crazy...
we had the rapture.
No, we're still here. So, hey, if you're still here after that...
sorry.
You know,
it's going to be a long
We're
road.
here with you, okay?
Yeah.
We'll get through it.
Yeah.
No, they disrupted this attempt to disrupt communication. You know, there's like whole rooms, man, full of these like network receiver things that was planning to just disrupt cell signal in all of New York City and all of DC and all this.
That's probably my biggest fear is like the power grid.
Well, I don't know if you remember this, but 9/11, the actual one, 2001, you try to pick up the phone because the networks were so jammed with calls, you couldn't get through. And then it's like, well, you know, I live at the time 2 hours away from my folks. Like, how am I going to let them know I'm okay? How do I know if they're okay? And so pretend, or dude, everyone listening right now, you know what it feels like whenever you now this never happens to me because I'm responsible. Yeah. But you know what it's like when you leave your phone at home and you're, you know, too far away to turn around. You just got to deal with it. It feels like, what am I going to do? How am I going to communicate with people?
You're like, I'm in real danger.
Yeah. I don't know if there's even, are there payphones still? You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, I know my wife's phone number. That's it.
Dude, by the way, have you heard of this new phenomenon where people are like setting up payphones in New York?
What is that? What do you mean?
There's just been these like sightings where these like random like usable payphones are just like popping up like in an alley or on a street corner like overnight, kind of like the Toynbee Tile kind of thing.
I mean, talking again about an old communication medium that's not being used, landlines, dude.
Oh, yeah.
So imagine like there's all these connections that still exist. I mean, my house is a perfect example. We don't have a landline. Every room has the old thing, you know? Imagine if you were just able to activate that and just utilize that to communicate with somebody.
All right. Speaking of old and new,
okay.
I gotta say, can we go into like just this little thing?
Yeah, man.
Okay, so I've wanted to talk about this for a long time, but I didn't feel like there was enough meat on the bone. I felt like, is it like boring? But I think it's the perfect sort of addendum to the number stations. Have you heard of a thing called the unfavorable semicircle?
No.
You probably have, because I probably told you about it before. So unfavorable semicircle was the name of a channel on YouTube. So again, this is almost like a continuation or a modern version of what I believe is kind of like a number station. So unfavorable semicircle was the name of a channel on YouTube, which garnered so much attention for the massive number of videos it published and the unusual nature of the videos over the course of a year. The account went live on March 30th, 2015, and began posting extremely frequently, within 2 or 3 videos being published every 2 minutes. Tens of thousands of videos were posted on the channel while it was active, some only a few seconds long, others as long as 11 hours long. All featured abstract images and were either silent or contained distorted voices and unusual sounds. The channel garnered much attention and curiosity after one of its videos was posted on Reddit and soon hit the mainstream news on February 22nd. On February 25th, 2016, the channel had then been, eventually been terminated by YouTube. Jump to March 3rd, 2016, unfavorable semicircle was discovered on Twitter and on a new YouTube account after decoding a post on the Google Plus page that was linked to the original YouTube channel. In 2017, the channel deleted itself and its Twitter account. Later, it was reopened, but a lot of people believe that it was sort of a copycat kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is, so visually, it would be dots, usually blurred, on a background of one solid color. The videos would come in like a series, and they would all have a symbol in front of them, the Sagittarius symbol. But the names were Fond, Fend, Brill, Brine, Cab. A few standalone videos include Lock, Relock, Limit, Zoofco. With regards to the videos, when every individual frame is treated like individual pixels on an image, and then those pixels are combined, you end up with images that resemble, like, it almost looks like, I don't even know how to explain it, almost like an X-ray of certain things. So it's really, really interesting, and there's definitely like something to it. It has like machine-like static, but again, there are like voices. Usually it's too distorted to even make out what's being said. Nobody knows where they come from. Nobody knows who Unfavorable Semicircle is, but there's just this massive community, that's been working on it. And
can you still find?
I think there's been, like all like cool things like this, it becomes like sort of copycats. And usually the copycats kind of reveal themselves by making it like very obvious,
right.
Like, ooh, I'm going to make something like spooky sounding. But yeah, I just thought that was cool. And it was an interesting sort of, almost like a continuation of the number station.
Yeah, it's kind of like but with the new technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
Yeah, I think it's super cool, man.
That's really cool. All right, so all in, man, this is one of those that I just love it because, like we talk about so much, we are that perfect generation, of what I like to call it, where we have 1 foot in the analog age and 1 foot in the digital age. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And because of that, this mystery to me kind of, I don't know, it brings back that nostalgia of old radio. It makes me want to get, finally, for us to get our ham license or whatever, and start broadcasting this show outside of the internet. Put it on the airwaves, man. You know?
Dude, I totally agree. And if you agree, jump on over to our Instagram. That would be rad. Drop us a line. Tell us about how difficult it was to get your ham radio license. Tell us about your own number station. Maybe you have your own that you're creating or you have created. We want to hear about it. If you have a more longer form, shoot us a DM or shoot it over to thatwouldberadpod@gmail.com. If you would like to share an urban legend, a more localized sort of cryptid or paranormal event that you've experienced yourself, we'd love to hear about it in your own voice and possibly make That Would Be Rad history by making it in an episode. We give it sound design and make you sound cool. But you could do that over with our sort of voice memo feature on the website, thatwouldberadpodcast.com. Tell a friend about the show. Leave us a 5-star review. And I guess that's about it. You got anything else?
I think that's
all right,
it, pal.
Well, we love you. We appreciate you. And as always,
be rad.
That's the way it goes. My favorite song on the radio. sunshine. You were already dead before you became a ghost. You always said our future would be a parade of flowers, but now all that's left is a single rose. That's the way it goes.
Granted.
All right. Now let's step away from cold wear.
Uh-oh.
Now let's step away from... All right. No, wait. All right. Now let's step away from cold wear.
I
one
can't
hour
get
sleep
enough.
last night.
Can't get enough.
All right. The story goes that in 1995, listeners of WKCR 89.9 FM in New York suddenly had their programming hijacked. Which, you know, we love.
Oh, yeah.
For a shirt.
Dude.
I mean, dude.
Cold wear and
4 times in a row. And for a shirt time. For
and
a short time.
You just said 4 times in a roll.
No, I did not.
Yeah, I swear. Listen back.
Well, I probably did. That's an old...
that is not.
No, listen, it's an old inside joke because this guy named... what was the guy's name in high school? He would always be like 50,000 times in a roll. What was his name, dude? No, it wasn't Stewart. I don't know. I got to ask Rollins. No, dude. I swear. I'm always like 50,000 times in a roll. Anyway. Shh.